Radio Rahim with Johnny Nelson. Boy, things are starting to get back to usual. I spoke to you a couple of days ago. I'm speaking to you again. An entirely different fight on the mantle this time. I have longed for these days over the past couple of years.
Me too. I've walked in here. I feel old. We're in a warehouse.
Yeah.
You know, it's just got that young vibe to it. So it just reminds me, my young daughters give me the new iPhone saying, Dad, you shouldn't have one of them because you don't know how it works. And all of a sudden, we've got this young vibe going on. And I suppose it's like wearing a new pair of shoes. You just got to break it in a little bit, just see how these things are. Slowly but surely, things are coming together. And I've seen fights coming through. Good vibe.
I should tell you that in just 20 minutes, they're going to bring the lights down. The DJ pops up. So I hope you brought your dancing shoes.
No.
But one guy who's definitely got to bring his dancing shoes this Saturday night is Chris Eubank Jr. With this new voyage on Sky Sports. He's got the spotlight like never before. You know what it's like to be a fighter in that moment. What's going through his head right now?
So it's a chance for him to, Sky and Box have given him the platform to succeed or fail. So now it's his chance to reinvent himself. Now it's his chance to show the union with himself and Roy Jones Jr. how it's made him a better fighter. Because obviously people are going to talk about the fights he lost. What differences there been? Now I bumped into Roy in the hotel last week around the AJ fight. And it's not about people say to you to your face, it's what they say about you behind your back. And Roy sang this guy's praises. He sang Chris Jr.'s praises. And he didn't have to do that. If Roy Jones putting his name to you, he's putting his heart and soul behind you. You know, he didn't have to do that because this guy's done it all. But he was saying, listen to me, this boy can do everything and more. And I saw a couple of clips of him. He stretched him out a little bit. He's made him use his speed, made him use his boxing ability, made him use his feet, hand-foot-eye coordination. I loved what I saw. But what told me more is when Roy came up to me and he's talking about it, I thought, all right, you know, I wasn't seeing things. And so it made me feel more comfortable.
Mentally, as a fighter would tell you, as you've told me many times, this game is at least 80% mental. Chris is not just facing a physical challenge in there, like we all experience in life. There are personal tragedies that this guy has to now overcome. There's pressure. He's the second Eubank to take a boxing stage of this magnitude. In that regard, what's his mind like, and what does it need to be like Saturday night?
So, as a fighter, you have to be very selfish, and that's just it's got to be part of your DNA. Of course, you know, family tragedy, there's nothing that ever will be able to compensate for that. And it'll be hard for him. He'll have it at the back of his mind. It might even drive. Remember Buster Douglas, his mother passed away before he boxed Mike Tyson. And you have that conversation with that sibling, that mother, that father. And that's personal. That's on a spiritual level. And for Chris, you know, I think, will it affect his fight process? No. I think it might even drive him on. It might even, his conversations with his brother may inspire him, and he'll not want to fail. I'll give him another reason to want to keep winning. And so these things are very delicate, very hard to handle and understand. Everybody acts differently, but you wouldn't wish it on your worst enemy, that kind of baggage, mental and emotional baggage to be carrying into a fight.
Well, while we're on the subject of mental fortitude and what it requires to come through those ropes every time there's going to be a bell rung in your honor, Anthony Joshua, last Saturday night, I thought he was mentally there. People were like, oh, Anthony wasn't there. I thought he just had the entire wrong strategy. What do you regard as the reason that the fight went the way it went Saturday?
So the one thing that everybody's gotten right was his tactics were wrong. That's the one thing everybody's gotten right. The other thing everybody's gotten wrong is their understanding of Alexander Usyk. Now, Usyk is a good fighter. Usyk is a beatable fighter. Usyk is, as a southpaw, an average southpaw, but on a whole round, he's an outstanding fighter because he understands the gamesmanship, the how to put a fight under pressure. So if you look at it, and in saying this, it's like I'm downing on Usyk. But what I'm saying is, let's get real. Let's not run away with the crowd because everybody else is saying it. Because we said that about Lomachenko until he got beat. You thought, that's how you beat him. Now I'm telling you now, Usyk's beatable. But you've got to fight the right fight and play the right game with him. Now AJ played Usyk's game, which is why AJ lost. Because if you're going to fight fire, make sure your fight is bigger than his. You know, if you're going to dance a dance, don't dance his dance, make him dance your dance. AJ went in there and his mentality was that of a challenger rather than as a champion. And so he was trying to prove something to you, me, and everybody. You know what? I'm going to outbox this guy. That's a big gamble. And if he don't pay off, the downside is high, and that's exactly what's happened. I do believe, you know, of late, Anthony Joshua has been in between. Is he going to fight? Is he going to box? He's been improving and sharpening up his tools. I do believe that the AJ with that mentality that be Dylan White would have beaten Alexander Usyk. But that mentality's changed where he's trying to refine that, and he's lost that spiky edge. Do I think he can fix that? Yes, I do. Do I think he will fix that? Yes, I do. Because the backlash and then negativity from people saying he got outschooled, he got this, that, and the other, is going to burn him. So, and he's got too much pride to think, I ain't going out like that. Now, don't think it's about the money, because this boy must be worth a lot, what, 300 million? So it's not been about the money for a long, long, long time. So now he wants to come back and say, all right, then, I'm going to be 3 times heavyweight champion of the world, and I can do this again. So, and me saying this, I'm quite sure there's going to be a backlash saying, nah, Nelson know what he's talking about. Trust me. If you know boxing and you know about, Usyk's a good southpaw. He's not an outstanding southpaw. The whole package is good, you know, which makes him like a puzzle in front of you. But I'm from a gym of unorthodox fighters. So what he's done there is nothing I haven't seen in my gym 27, 24, 20, 50 million times. But you've got to understand how to deal with it. And if you don't know how to deal with it, you'll make unorthodox fighters look outstandingly magical. And that's what AJ did, because he boxed his fight. And so therefore he was made for Usyk. And Usyk took full advantage of it. I feel for AJ, but he learned one lesson after he's lost to Andy Ruiz. Now he's learned another lesson in the gamble he took in fighting Usyk's kind of fight against Alexander Usyk.
And I think the lesson that boxing fans might be able to take from this, hopefully he'll be able to prove this if you're correct, is that undefeated doesn't necessarily mean the best or smartest fighter.
Manny Pacquiao retired, done with the game. Look at the amazing fights he's had. Look at the amazing fights he's won. 8 division world champion. He had 72 professional fights and won 62 of them. So a loss doesn't mean jack diddly do. We've seen this man knocked out on his face, gone. He's still come back and reigned. He's still come back and won fights. He's still come back and established himself. And he goes out as an outstanding. His achievements are outstanding. Will never be matched. So for fighters coming through, a loss doesn't mean jack diddly. Remember, I had 13 amateur fights. I only won 3. I lost my first 3 professional fights. I retired setting a record of defense as the world champion. A loss means jack shit, but you've got to be strong enough and smart enough and mentally strong enough to ignore the critics, ignore the pressure, ignore the paranoia, ignore the armchair champion saying, you should have done this, you should have done that, you should have done this. Everybody's a champion sat in the home in an armchair. So you've got to be mentally strong enough to do that. I can go back in history and look at so many fighters that got knocked out and the criticism was terrible. Lennox Lewis getting sparked. I'll go on and on and on. You know, Ali should have been finished after he lost to Fraser and then came back and beat Foreman. But people they just don't get it. So as far as I'm concerned, I think Anthony Joshua can fix this. It's a tougher ask. But he won't fix it if he doesn't change his game plan, and his attitude. He's got to change how he approaches this fight. He's got to go in there with a champion's mentality to make the man dance his dance, fight his fight.
And lastly, a guy going in there with a champion's mentality and a challenger's mentality, or at least he better be, is Caleb Plant. And Canelo being the hurdle that he has to clear on November 6th. How do you rate that matchup first?
To me. So the press conference, and everybody clocked on it. Canelo's instincts, woo, woo, boom. I'm like, shit. I didn't even see that coming. And so I'm thinking, you know, Canelo Plant, I think from those instincts I see, you know, from that what I see, I'm thinking you are up against a fully rounded, fully fit, fully hungry fighter that believes, you know what, I am the god in this division. And you step into my world, I'll show you what God can do. I think Canelo is unbeatable at this moment in time. I think he's unbeatable. And we're going to see that. And what I'm saying, you know, some fighters, they just, when they get in the ring and things went well for them, you know, there's that little move alone. Wow, wow, boom, 2 shots. I'm like, shit. It was a proper shit. Like, goddamn. Speed, instincts, hand-for-eye coordination. You know, my man's in his trousers and shoes. I'm like, what? So to me, I'm like, you know, Canelo, you know, the only way you're gonna lose is if you lose, not if you get beaten.
Well, Johnny, as an interview partner, you are unbeatable. Instincts, timing, sitting in your trousers, and dress shoes, overcoat. He's still doing all the moves. This guy is my favorite. Always a pleasure to talk to you. Real gift to get to talk to you twice in 1 week. I hope to see you again soon. Well, how about Saturday night? You want to talk Saturday night? Let's do Saturday night. Radio Rahim with Johnny Nelson.